Perfect.
So anyway, so Tom and I decided to maybe change up a little bit. So I can help Tom kind of ease into the investing world. This is not a financial advice. This is not. This is financial research. Look at my hand. Follow my hand. Yes, we are just talking. This is Tom's world. And what Tom always seems to forget to tell people is what he did it for a living. And I always have to remind Tom, I'm like, Tom, look that's the stuff that people want to hear about, is what you did for a living. What did you do for a living, Tom?
They don't care what I did. Who cares?
Yes, they do. Everybody cares.
I started out in public accounting, so I was a CPA at PricewaterhouseCoopers. So I went into a lot of different big businesses, small businesses, and so I got to see a lot of how things work from the inside out.
And did you ever do any of the big boy companies?
I mean, we did some, billion-dollar companies in our office. I was in a medium-sized office, but we had some large companies. We had some names that you would know.
You know what's so funny? And ladies, I'm talking to you right now. Tom's single. What is funny is that, like me, if I worked there, I would be like, oh my God, we did the biggest companies ever. They're huge. I can't tell you who they were, but they were huge. Tom is just reserved, but he was in charge of audit teams where like groups of 20, 40, 50 people went in and they audited the whole company. And what I'm saying, when you guys are looking at $1 billion and you got to find the $100,000 mistake, it's not easy to do. Right, Tom? I mean...
Well, I'll tell you the biggest job that we did, I think I can say this one. The State University in New York, which has 73 schools.
Whoa. Just so you know, I don't think you should talk anything more about the State University of New York.
They did a great job, and we loved them.
There was never any money missing there.
That was perfect, spotless audits. But that's a big job. That was teams and teams for months and months. That's all summer. The universities are, they have a summer year end, so that's like off-season work. So
right.
But
that's good.
Yeah, I mean, we had to fly out to, you had to go to different universities.
Right. And so why I said we should start doing this is so Tom knows how to actually read financial statements and actually can dissect them and understand which of these companies have cash and which of these companies don't have cash. And what is so funny is, and I'm not gonna, I don't know if we're gonna talk about it or not, but we know of a company that should have been loads and loads of cash and their multipier's terrible, and that's Tesla. Are we going to talk about Tesla? No.
I think you were afraid we're going to get too much hate mail if we talk about Tesla.
I love Tesla. First of all, let me tell you, I actually put a deposit down. Is it the Model X? I actually put a deposit down, and then the next day I came to my senses and I'm like, oh, no. I'm not doing it. And the reason I didn't do it is because of battery what is it called? Degradation or?
Yeah, degradation.
So I travel all the time. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and I travel all the time. And it's easy to put on 200 miles in a day on my car. And I was worried about, what happens when, I got to go and do 260 or 270. What Tesla doesn't do, unfortunately, is they don't give you the full picture of when you're running the AC and it's 110 degrees outside, and really hot, and you're running the AC, it really depletes the miles. And so my friend had a Tesla, and we would use it, we'd take it. And I think what got me was when he did a trip from here to Savannah, and he almost broke down. He had to plug into a gas station. Actually just plugged in his car to a gas station so then he sat there for 2-3 hours until he could get to the next place. And, and according to when he started the trip, he should have made it. And that's just, to me, is just not a reliable technology yet. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but for me, I didn't want to be in the middle of nowhere between here and Savannah.
I mean, I think the technology keeps getting better and better, but the thing is, for a job like you have, you drive. The Tesla is not for somebody that has a job where they're driving around. That's just not the electric vehicle market, in my opinion.
And you want to know, here was something that was really interesting. And this was, it was 3 years ago now that I put my deposit down on a Tesla. 3 years ago, I put the deposit down, and they were telling me that I could tow a trailer with a Model X. Yeah, and you, any day now, any year now, maybe the next 2 or 3 years, you'll be able to send that car with the trailer to where you want it to be delivered. And then you don't need to be in the car.
Just autonomous driving.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guys, it is not even close to being there yet.
And the
guy I always say is George Holtz. Go on.
Actually, Santa Claus drives the car for you.
There's a guy, and this is why I became not as big fan of Tesla. There is a guy named George Holtz, Hoyt, George Holtz. And this guy came up with this thing called IQ, I think it is, IQ. And what he...
IO, maybe?
Maybe IO, I don't know. IQ. Look him up. He's a real cool kid. He's like, I think he just turned 32, maybe 33. Now that I'm 52, I am wise in my years. And I think he's gotten a total of $5 million now. Actually, I think he called up the other day and he might have got another million. I don't know. I think I gave him another million. So anyways, he's got 6 million now.
Is he crowdfunding this money or just...
No, he just calls me up. When he needs it, he calls me up and I hook him up.
Has he got a different phone number for you than I do?
Yeah. He's got the 900 number. So this guy said this, and this is real interesting. He was working for, I think it was Google, and their self-driving car. And what he said was, look at self-driving cars are 20 years away, minimum. Everybody can sit here and say that they're not, but the reason why they're minimum of 20 years away, I'll say 15 now because this was a few years ago. 15 to 20 years away is because of two things. One, the public. They're scared to death of it. That was like the number one. You can't change the mindset of the people that are currently out there driving cars. You cannot. They just don't want to give up that freedom, and they just will not give up that freedom. Number two was this. The technology that we're using to do what's called GPS tracking, like a plane, they use the same technology for a plane. He says it doesn't work for self-driving cars. What you need to do is a computer on your car that tracks the road. Yes, you can use a GPS to do a check and balance, but the main optics of it is that camera from a cell phone, of all things, that is recording. And as your pixels get better, the self-driving technology gets better. And he has two cameras on it. One camera is on you, so it watches you the whole time. And the other camera is in front on the road. And it has a night vision mode. And it is, to me, I'm in shock. Unfortunately, it does not work on Chevy Tahoes like I drive, but it does work on like the Chevy Volt. And here's what I think is so cool about this, is what I love about the younger generation is, he could patent everything and do all this. And he started having, when you don't have a lot of money, you come up with ingenious ways to make your product work. He got in trouble with the Highway Safety Council. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to make my code open source. So he made all his code open source. If you want to use his program and store it on his, servers, then obviously, he is the right person. His program is the right one to use, but you can also make your own and use your own. So it's really neat. But that's why I'm not as big as fan with, autonomy cars as I used to be, and Tesla. And go talk. If you want to learn about it, he's really neat to listen to. George Holtz, and he'll be able to break it down. He breaks down all of them. Like he'll talk about, Toyota's doing something. I think they just bought like was it Ubers or Yelps or somebody? I don't know. They've been swapping around, but these guys are spending billions and billions of dollars and not getting anywhere with it.
Is he an engineer or something, or is he just?
Yeah, he's a computer engineer. So,
Okay.
which, you know, those guys run the world as it is. So, so Tesla, when does it crash? That's my question. Question number one, we're in year, it is, where are we, June? We're midway, we're basically 6 months through 2021. Which it means nothing, what my prediction is going to be. It means take this for a grain of salt.
This is not financial advice.
This is not financial. This is financial guessing. I'm calling, what's Tesla at right now?
It just popped over 600, but it's still plus or minus. It's hanging out at $600.
Before the end of the year, I don't think it's going to go down that much, honestly. I only think it's going to go down like maybe $50, maybe. And the only reason why I think it's going to go down is because I think everybody's going to go down. I think there's going to be like a 10% correction, personally. And I think the fourth quarter is really going to, I think when we might not even see it this year. We might see it at the beginning of the following year, because the fourth quarter, what I'm hearing, is going to be brutal.
I feel like the market's got something coming, and I'll tell you why. Like every 6 months, I go through the entire S&P 500. So it's 500 companies. It's not a big deal. And usually there's a bunch of companies that are way up. There's some companies that are way down, and, some in the middle. This was unbelievable. I would say 95% of the companies were green for the year. And I've never seen that before I do this regularly. I've never seen a scenario where every company, usually there's 30 or 40 or 50 or 80 or 100 companies that are, down pretty good, where you can say, all right, maybe it's going to cycle back to those companies. But it's like, who's it going to cycle back to when every 95% of the companies are already up? And half of them are up at or near their all-time highs. It's crazy. Even the recovery stocks are a lot of them are at their, Live Nation is way past its all-time high. They're Ticketmaster. They sell tickets to live events. And by the way, there hasn't been any in like 2 years. And they're blown away their all-time high market cap. So I don't get it.
So, being a financial person that you are, why do you think that is happening?
There is no sense to me. I could make an argument for Live Nation. I can't make an argument for it being past its all-time high. That is just a stock that's overvalued. All I can tell you is this: someday, and the stock market can be irrational for a long time, that is due for a monumental. Their sales were down over 90%, and their stock was up. I mean, that's not how this works.
Well, and that's what gets me, Tom. I mean, you bring up a really interesting point, and that is, what do you do when the matrix don't work? I mean, when the things that you were taught, fundamentals 101 in investing, they don't work. Your PE ratios. What do you do?
You got to be in tune. There's an answer to that question. You got to be in tune. So for me, a stock like Live Nation, I'm not touching it, because what you could do, a lot of people will go, look at the fundamentals on this. If you do the technicals, you should short it. But there's certain stocks that are just momentum plays. They're not trading on the technicals. They're not trading on their fundamentals. They're trading on a story. That has become that didn't really used to be a thing in the stock market. Now there's a lot of story-driven stocks. So I think the story for Live Nation is all their competition got weeded out. They had enough cash in the bank to get through however long this thing lasted. And when they come out the other side, they're going to dominate. Well, okay, but they lost however many $billion in the middle. Your stock doesn't get to go up when that happens. So to me, there's a bunch of trades that I just stay away from. There's enough things that make sense, especially if you find undervalued things, they will almost always ultimately catch up to their value. So I would prefer to go find things that are undervalued in the same way that doesn't make sense and just wait for them to catch up to their value, because that's going to happen. Live Nation and like Tesla, I don't know. Is that going to go? You got people like Cathie Woods saying it's going to go to $4,500. It's at $600 right now. But if you look
at the, say it's going to 4,500.
That's her bull case 5-year projection is 4,500.
Are they still dating?
Yes, seriously.
Who is giving opinions about Elon Musk that's not sleeping with him?
Well,
just curious.
I guess I won't give any opinions about him then.
That's insane, isn't it? But I mean, I guess you can understand. He might actually sell 1 million cars in a year.
Yeah, so that'll make him in like 10th place out of car manufacturers. So,
right, but remember, he throws a rocket into space.
Yeah, that's great too, but it's a totally separate, unrelated company. So,
and he is saving the environment with green technology. Please do not talk to me. This is huge.
Stop the presses. Oh, here, I'm going to look at it right now. I don't want to be a hater. I think Tesla's cars are cool, but there's a big difference between their cars and their stock.
Right.
Their PE, you know what their PE ratio is? I'm on Yahoo Finance right now. Their trailing 12-month PE ratio is 611.
What does that mean for me?
So
like AT&T or Apple, they must be what, at like 610 or something like that?
Yeah. Here, historically, and everybody's PE ratio is very high right now. The stock market, the S&P 500 is trading at somewhere around a 25 PE right now on the average.
So Apple's 604, 602.
Yeah, Apple's like 30.
What?
And yeah.
So I think what we should do is call this a meme stock.
This is a following. There's a legion of people that think whatever Tesla's doing right now, don't worry about it, because later they're going to be in charge of the whole world. Their cars are going to drive themselves and fly and go to the moon, and there's going to be no more taxis because it's just going to be unmanned Tesla vehicles riding around, and they're going to,
You lost me. He got going, guys. He got like insane. He's like started throwing things.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I hit the button. I think the sensors beeped me.
No, but what gets me though is that's why I don't understand why she thinks it's going to $4,500. And that was when she said it. I was just like, it doesn't follow any. And question. Has there been another stock in the stock market that's even come close to that ratio?
That's a tricky question, because there's some stupid stuff going on right now. I got a list of stocks that are bizarre. But
we should start calling these meme stocks.
But here's the difference. Those stocks are small cap or sometimes medium cap stocks. Tesla's the 7th biggest company in the United States. So to be the 7th, they're not some miscellaneous thing that has, like GameStop ran up out of control and had a PE ratio that made no sense. But even spiraled out of control, they were only worth $20 billion. Tesla's a $600 billion company.
And you know what's crazy? And this is what gets me, and this is why I'm such not a fan of Tesla, is because he basically made all his money this last quarter on Bitcoin. He didn't make it on his operations. I mean, you can argue it. if you take his credits that he, I think I should get credits in my business that he gets from the government, right? Am I wrong, or am I?
No, he gets credits. People get credits for buying the cars, so that helps them buy it. I think he sells credits, so he gets money for that, and fine. I don't understand that, but okay. And then he made $100 million on Bitcoin. So yeah, he didn't actually make any money from his operations. And if you look at, you can go look it up. Cathie Woods put out, it's only 6 or 8 pages long, and she puts her bull case scenario together. And one of the things, forget everything else, there's 2 things in there that if they happen, then I guess she's right and I'm wrong. And the two, she has them making gross profit margins on their cars of like 40%, which is, car manufacturers are at 5 or 10%. So they're about to have a massive amount of competition come in against them. Everybody's making, and not just General Motors spent $30 billion getting an EV section, an electric vehicle segment to their business up and running. Like, Tesla's not going to get to sit here in a vacuum and just charge whatever they want for cars. Nobody makes 40% gross profit on a car. Right now, they have to charge that much money, and they still don't even make any money as a company. So it's a very difficult formula. It may get better for them, but I don't see. So she's got that, and then she has them basically eliminating all taxi cabs everywhere and having a fleet of, I don't know, 5 or 10 million autonomous vehicles driving everybody around.
2050?
Yeah, no, this is 5 years from now. This is her 5-year from now projection. So I don't know.
I would like to, you know what we should try to do? Let's try to interview her.
Yeah, good luck.
I'm going to call her up and say, hi, hello, I am your conscience. Okay. Hello, I need you to start looking at the fundamentals again. Look at the fundamentals. Be true to yourself.
So if you do the math and what she says happens, then she's going to be right. But what I'm saying is, I don't believe those things are going to happen. I don't believe car companies in the future are going to charge a 40% gross profit margin. I don't believe that. I mean, the automobile industry is a famously low gross profit margin, and there's massive Volkswagen, Ford, General Motors, all the luxury vehicles are making their own electric vehicles. Lucid Motors is coming out with a high-end EV. There's 3 companies in China that are set to make millions of electric vehicles.
Don't forget Karma.
There you go. Karma.
Which I actually think they have a pretty neat car.
You know what they say about Karma?
It's a bitch. So we should like make a graphic. So I'm giving Cathie Woods a thumb down.
You're going to give her a thumbs down on her Tesla pick.
$4,500 ain't going to happen. I can guarantee you one thing. It will not be $4,500.
Well,
it might be 40. It might, hang on. It might be 44.72 or 46.25, but it won't be 4,500.
No, those all count as her winning. She did.
No.
She gave 3 scenarios. She gave a bear case scenario, and in that scenario, it goes to 1,500. She gave her target scenario, and in that scenario, it goes to 3,000. And then she gave her bull case scenario, and in that scenario, it goes to 4,500. So I think all 3 of those are wrong. I think if the stock I'm not saying it on the air because people will get angry at me. Let's just say I think it's overvalued right now at 600.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, but I guess the 1,500 I do understand.
It's got a 611 PE ratio. That means at this rate, if they keep doing what they're doing, 600 years from now, they will have made enough money to justify their market cap.
It's a meme stock.
So, of course, they're going to get better. They're going to do more than they're doing right now. So that's a little unfair.
So
but nobody
what
trades
would
it.
their sales have to go to justify that 600?
Their sales, and it has to do, again, she's got them at a 40% gross profit margin. And then she's got these.
There's no way. There's absolutely no way.
No, that's not happening. And then the autonomous cars are like all pure profit. Because they get to own them all, and there's no.
They never break down. There's no electric on them, right? They run forever.
They're magic.
They're magic. There's no cost associated per mile.
I'll tell you what this is like. There've been like 10 things like this. 3 Christmases ago, the hype in September and October was, this year, all the presents from Amazon's delivering everything with drones. So, they're just going to fly a drone to your front door and drop off your package. So that was supposed to be 3 Christmases ago. Yeah. We're about 100 million drones short of that right now.
Well, and and it's funny because I actually have a meeting with somebody tomorrow about investing, actually partnering in his drone business. And I asked him about Amazon, matter of fact. And so the FAA has blocked off certain heights now so that they can be drones. But what they're worried about is still there's so many packages and there's only so many drones, and then it just becomes a logistic nightmare.
It's unrealistic.
Yep.
I'm looking it up. How many packages are delivered each day? 21 million packages a day. UPS delivers 21 million packages a day. So
that's insane.
And then think about, so that's a day. That's a regular day. How about the month coming up until Christmas? Because that's when almost everything gets bought. So
the last month.
50, 60,
November,
70 million drones flying around. I don't think that works.
No.
Some things don't make common sense. So again, maybe I'll be wrong and everybody can laugh at me later, but I do not see 20 million or 50 million or 70 million drones flying around.
But I will tell you one thing. Tom is not a financial advisor. Cathie Woods is.
That's true. Cathie Woods is a financial advisor. So.
Right? I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. I have a statement. I don't know it to be true. I just know it to be so. So let's move on.